As an employee, you're basically told what to do. As an entrepreneur, specifically in a franchise, you're giving the guide, the blueprint on running a successful business, but it is up to you to execute on that blueprint. Are you comfortable investing $100,000 of your own money and following someone else's process? These are things you have to be okay with. If you're doing this to create time freedom and then you're not around for the first 6 months as you're launching this business, that's going to cause an issue.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast, where you can escape the corporate trap through franchise ownership. Here's your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, the Franchise Guide.
Welcome to the Franchise Freedom Podcast. I'm your host, Giuseppe Grammatico, your franchise guide, the show where we help corporate executives experience time and financial freedom. Thanks for joining us today. Wanted to continue a series of solo episodes, going back to the basics, answering the questions I get on a daily basis, and helping you decide if a franchise may or may not be a good fit, as it is not a good fit for everyone. So for today's episode, I wanted to cover the topic of, is franchise ownership right for you? Going right at it. Let's just figure this out. For those that go to the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com, and you go to book a call, there is a 3-question survey that will also help you in further figuring out if a franchise is a good fit. We're really diving into self-discovery mindset, laying the foundation before exploring specific brands. As we work in reverse, the brands will come after. We need that foundation in figuring out the right fit of the brand. And I think that eliminates a lot of the questions, that eliminates a lot of the concerns once the foundation is laid in the very beginning as to why do you want the franchise and what that franchise looks like. Kind of 5 key areas we'll discuss today. So number 1 is entrepreneur versus employee mindset. As an employee, you're basically told what to do. As an entrepreneur, specifically in a franchise, you're giving the guide, the blueprint on running a successful business, but it is up to you to execute on that blueprint. It is not going to be done for you. You really need to figure out how you're going to execute that. The mindset's big, and the mindset is simply not after finding that right fit. It's basically, what is it going to take to make this business successful? And it's number 1, executing on the plan, executing on the franchise itself, and then hiring the right staff and not giving up. Franchise is a business. Setting the right expectations up front, I think, is going to be big. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of hours, regardless of the type of franchise. The franchise is not going to run on its own. There's none of this passive investment, passive ownership type of franchise. You really need to put the hours in to make the business successful. And the mindset changes to, okay, not will I be successful, but I will be successful. And what do I have to do to get systems in place and the right people in place so that the systems can roll and I can take more of a hands-off approach, or kind of working on the business versus in the business. That's definitely a change. But mindset shift too is also, how much money can I make the first year? You're building something. There's tax advantages that you won't get as an employee. There's a resale value of the business. Those all come into play where we talked about exit strategies and what that all looks like. Those are some shifts in thinking, but really executing on that. And then what does the future hold in the business? Whether it mean exit strategy planning, does it mean adding another territory, zip codes, or another complementary business? These are all things to consider. And number 2, risk tolerance check. Are you comfortable investing $100,000 of your own money and following someone else's process? These are things you have to be okay with. With any business, there's going to be an investment, whether it's your own money, which eventually it all is. You're taking the loan initially, combination, retirement, SBA loan, home equity line of credit. But what is your risk tolerance? And I think with the risk tolerance, it goes back to, what is the right franchise? And that goes back to the foundation. Let's make sure that the franchisor offers the level of support. Because remember, not all franchises are built the same. So they need to offer the level of support that you're going to be comfortable with. You're going to hear that from the franchisor, but more importantly, you're going to hear that directly from your fellow franchisees in the support they're getting, not only when they started, but ongoing. Risk tolerance, everyone gauges things differently. Is the franchise more emerging? Are they newer versus established? Established brands are great, has more of a history. My only challenge with some of the established brands are not area available, Whereas some of the emerging brands are newer, maybe you have less franchisees, less history to speak with, less history to review, but you have that availability right in your backyard, which is super excited. You could be the pioneer in your state, right in your backyard, where you have existing relationships that you can take advantage of and run with initially. But risk tolerance goes back to not just the investment, but what can you make in the business? No one's going to tell you exactly that information. There's no crystal ball. So you're going to get some information from the franchisor, create a pro forma, and speak with your fellow franchisees. Figure out on average, okay, so we know what the investment's going to be, but what's my monthly expense via the pro forma, and what can I make per location or per territory? Due diligence is key. Do not skip this section. Definitely spend the time. When people say the fear comes up, it's because either they didn't do the due diligence in the very beginning, or they forgot. It just needs to be brought back up. How do we even get into looking at a business that's in water and smoke restoration? I don't have an experience there. We discussed you don't need experience there. We talked about your role being a mayor of the town and networking with the Chamber of Commerce and your fellow or your local plumbers and things like that. We didn't just pick this randomly or out of a hat. It checked off all the boxes. The industry itself will be taught to you. That's part of the training and onboarding. Lifestyle goals. We talked about the 5 freedoms of Dan Sullivan, time and financial freedom being the top 2, freedom of location, freedom of purpose, freedom to choose who you get to work with. Lifestyle goals are another one. Lifestyle goals could be, am I buying a business that maybe it's mosquito spraying, working 7 or 8 months a year and having the winters off to vacation to my second home in Costa Rica. I don't have that. I'm not sure why I went to that, but I know someone I would work with had a home there. It could be, or I'm going to continue working throughout the entire year and offer holiday lighting in the winter. Lifestyle goals could be working on the business, getting the general manager. Maybe they're vested or they have some equity in the game, some skin in the game that they can run with so that you're working nights and weekends and doing whatever it takes to get the business up and running. What are your priorities? Flexibility. Some people are okay as long as the hours are Monday to Friday. They're okay with any hours because maybe they're doing business with schools and schools close by 3 or 4 o'clock, off on weekends, holidays, and summers and things like that. It's another thing to consider. Support system, your internal support system. This is huge. It's one of those where if you don't have support from the family, it's do not pass go, do not collect $200 in Monopoly. I talk about this in my book. You got to let everyone know why you're doing this. If you're doing this to create time freedom and then you're not around for the first 6 months as you're launching this business, that's going to cause an issue. If you're married, but whoever's involved in your relationship or in the household, let everyone know what you're doing. There's going to be a significant investment, both financially as well as time. You're doing this to create time freedom. You're doing this to not miss the kids' soccer games and tournaments, or the Girl Scout meetings, the daddy-daughter dances and stuff like that. It is going to be sacrifice. It may not be a vacation that year. Mom or dad may be home less often, or they're going to be home, but spending a lot more time on the business. That's okay. You want buy-in. You need to let everyone know. You don't want to blindside anyone by this. That support system is going to be huge. And then another layer to that support system is getting that team in place, your financial advisor, your CPA, your accountant, your attorney, having that team of 3 to really support you so that every decision going forward, you're looking at the legal aspect, the tax aspect, and then the complete financial plan, right? Because there's going to be this plan of all your money, all your investments, and what percentage is in the business, what is in equities, cash, whole life insurance, whatever the case may be. That's kind of the second layer in the support system, but you definitely want buy-in in the household. What happens on a discovery call? There's no secret here. You're going to talk three things. You're going to talk to the franchisor in the first couple calls, learn about the brand, decide together, solidify that fit, if the fit's there. Step 2 or stage 2 is you're going to speak with franchisees, validation calls. Tell me the good, the bad, and everything in between. If there was an issue in the past, did the franchisor listen to you? Did they take your feedback? Did they make the changes as promised? These are things that are part of discovery. So you should always start with the franchisor. They'll have different ways for you to speak with franchisees. It may be pre-recorded calls, especially if you're working during the day. You can listen maybe on your ride home, live calls as well as one-on-one calls. So you get to speak with franchisees in different positions, maybe people that just started less than a year, people that have been in the business a decade, and everything in between, franchisees that started full-time, franchisees that started part-time, what we call semi-absentee. So that is kind of what happens on Discovery. And then finally, third stage is meeting the franchisor either virtually or in person for a discovery or confirmation day. There's a couple names for it. There's actually a third one that'll come to me here in a second. But these are 5 things to think about. So let's review them. On the entrepreneur versus employee mindset, risk tolerance check, lifestyle goals, support system, is the family on board? What happens at discovery on these discovery calls? If any of this resonated with you, let's jump on a quick call. More than glad to dive in a little bit deeper. I know we went kind of fast, but our calls will be figuring out together if a franchise is a good fit. We'll look at your current situation. What are you trying to accomplish? Maybe everything lines up, but the financials aren't there. The credit score isn't there for funding. We'll take a look at just about everything. So on that first call, we'll figure out if there's a potential fit. We'll send you out a questionnaire to gather some additional info, and then we'll dive in. Second call, it's a 60-minute consultation call. This is a really exciting call because that's where the franchise model is created together. We'll look at what the ideal business looks like, and we will gauge all future brands, all future companies based off that model. Thanks again for joining us today. Love to help you in the process. Go to ggthefranchiseguide.com. You can book a call. There's a survey on there. There's resources, FAQs, about 250 podcasts are on there. Guest appearances, if there's a specific topic, you could just do a search on I believe it's the top corner of the screen. And really excited to speaking with you, helping you along your journey, and take advantage of the resources. The book, Franchise Freedom, lays out my exact blueprint process, and it's the exact process I used in purchasing my first franchise. Thanks again for joining us, guys. And we'll have some future solo shows that we're going to be creating. They're going to be shorter episodes done intentionally. Want to get right to the meat and help you figure out if a franchise may be a good fit and kind of what to expect along the journey. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want to learn how to make the transition from corporate to owning your franchise, join Giuseppe on the next episode. You can also follow on all social media platforms and achieve financial and time freedom today.